So what happens when someone gets accused of a serious felony in California? Well, the clock starts ticking, and it starts ticking fast. In this explainer, we're going to break down those first absolutely critical hours. We'll look at everything from the moment of arrest to the huge decision about bail, all based on what our source material tells us.
Yeah, our source material really doesn't pull any punches. It gets straight to the point, making it super clear just how serious this situation is. And when a charge is this heavy, the whole legal machine kicks into high gear, moving at a speed that can be totally overwhelming for the person accused and their family.
Okay, so to really get a grip on the process, we've got to first understand the charge itself. Our source points us directly to California Penal Code 261, which is the law that deals specifically with the crime of rape.
And here is the absolute key takeaway from the definition. This law is laser-focused on one thing and one thing only. The entire legal framework, everything, it all boils down to a single question. Was there consent?
Right. Our source kind of unpacks that for us. It doesn't matter if it involves force, some kind of coercion, or a situation where a person was physically unable to say yes, like being unconscious. It all comes back to that one core issue. Was valid consent present? You can bet that's exactly what prosecutors are going to be zeroing in on from day one.
So that's the charge. But what happens when law enforcement actually gets involved? Well, things start moving. And according to our source, they move really fast. This brings up a question a lot of people have, and it's one our source tackles head on. You know, in a situation that might just be one person's word against another's, is that really enough for someone to get arrested?
The answer is a clear yes. See, the legal standard for an arrest is something called probable cause. Now, it's really important to know this is a much lower bar than beyond a reasonable doubt, which is what's needed for a conviction. So all it might take is an officer believing a crime happened based only on statements or what a witness said, and that can be enough.
So once that arrest happens, our source lays out this quick four-step chain of events. First, the person is taken into custody. As law enforcement starts collecting evidence, a judge sets bail, and for these kinds of cases, it's usually a shockingly high number. Then, the accused has the right to make a call to a bail bondsman to try and get out.
And let's just pause on that third step for a second. Bail. Because this is a huge fork in the road. It's a single moment that can seriously change the entire path of the case, all the way up to the trial.
Just how big of a fork in the road are we talking about? Well, our source makes it clear that the financial hurdle here can be massive. We are not talking about a few $1,000s. For a charge under this penal code, bail can easily jump into the tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. For most people, that puts freedom completely out of reach.
So you've basically got two ways to get out. Option one, you can pay the full amount, let's say it's $100,000, directly to the court. If you show up to all your court dates, you get that money back when the case is over. Option two, you go to a bail bondsman and pay them a non-refundable fee, usually about 10%, so $10,000. The catch? That $10,000 is gone forever. It's the price you pay for their service.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Our source connects that crucial bail decision directly to what's at stake. By showing us the incredibly severe penalties that come with a conviction, it highlights just how critical it is to be able to build the strongest possible defense.
First up, prison time. A conviction could mean 3, 6, or even 8 years in a state prison. And that's just the baseline. Depending on the specifics of the case, there can be other legal factors called enhancements that can tack on even more time to the sentence.
But it goes way beyond just prison time. A conviction almost always means mandatory lifetime registration as a sex offender. I mean, think about that. It permanently changes everything. Where you can live, the jobs you can get, even where you can travel.
And the consequences just keep piling on. You're also looking at huge fines, a permanent criminal record, all of which create these massive, lifelong roadblocks for finding a job or a place to live. The punishment really, truly does not end when the prison sentence is over. So you see why putting together a defense is so incredibly important, right? This is the core argument our source is making. It connects all those severe penalties to the idea that trying to build a solid defense while you're locked up behind bars is, well, it's next to impossible. Just think about the practical side of it, which the article lays out. If you're in jail, how are you supposed to meet privately and often with your lawyer? How can you help find evidence or track down witnesses? And what about your job? You can't work to pay for your defense. And on top of all that, you're dealing with the incredible mental stress of being incarcerated.
And that all leads right to the main point our source is driving home. Getting out on bail isn't just about being free for a little while. It's presented as a fundamentally crucial piece of being able to prepare a real, effective legal defense against charges that could change your life forever.
So this leaves us with a really powerful, thought-provoking question that stems from this entire argument. If being able to pay to get out of jail is a key factor in your ability to even defend yourself properly, what does that really tell us about the role money plays in the scales of justice?